anything
could happen.
Sudbury News Talk on the morning shift.
All right. Good morning, everyone. Welcome to Sudbury News Talk on the morning shift. I'm AJ Walsh. Glad to be here with you today. It is Thursday, January the 12th, 2023. It's looking like we got a little bit of white snuff on the ground this morning out there. We'll get to the weather in just a moment. We're joined by Billy here in the studio. Good morning, Billy, this morning. Good morning.
Oh, good morning.
How are you feeling?
I'm feeling great. I wish you got a slick new intro there.
Oh, yes. It's very slick for sure. Yes. I thought I would just play it because we needed more time this morning as we were just kind of, trying to get the show on the road or off the road or deal with the many technicalities that, as you know, we have to do. And you had one of your own this morning. So that's interesting. It landed on you today.
Yeah. Plug that phone in.
There's always something. Every day. And then the odd time, about one out of every 100 times, it's to the point where we can't even have the show. So this morning, we didn't have to get to that point. We were able to have the show. We're live on CKLU, 96.7 FM. We're live streaming online at cklu.ca. You just got to go to the website, click the Radio Player Canada app, and it's the player opens and you can stream us. Take us or download the app. You can take us with you and listen to us anytime, anywhere on your favorite device. And also streaming on Facebook at facebook.com/Sudbury News and youtube.com/Sudbury News. We're live streaming there. You can catch us live, or you can also catch the shows later on Facebook or YouTube. Thanks to our YouTube and Facebook moderators. They have a job to do, and we're definitely speaking live off the floor each and every day. And we want to make sure that we are adhering to whatever standards they have, which are sometimes not the most clear in the world. So we're always trying our best to do our, to make sure that we are delivering this show, which is your show, in a way that we can definitely utilize these great platforms which get this show out to as many people as possible. So we're really grateful for the platforms and for the people that make the platforms run. So thank you and good morning to all of you in YouTube and Facebook land and also Sudbury land. Good morning, David. Thanks for being with us this morning. We're going to have a really great show. There's lots of stuff to talk about. The Wolves played last night. It was a great game. Great game, and we'll get to the results of that just in a moment. We're going to start with some weather, but just remember to like, share, comment, subscribe, all that stuff. Definitely comment because this is your show, and we had a really great conversation yesterday with a Nick on the show, and there's so many comments. Now I'm going to do my best to get to the comments to voice them on air and then also to show them on screen. So that way you are, again, included in the conversation. It is your conversation. We're just facilitating it. And so let's get right in. Looking forward to having a great conversation today with Billy and you right here on the show. So we'll be back with the weather right after this. All right, and weather brought to you by sudburyweather.ca. It's currently minus 6 degrees, and it feels like minus 12. There is still light snow out there, and it's accumulated overnight. 93% humidity. We're today looking at periods of snow, risk of freezing, drizzle, wonderful this afternoon, and about 2 centimeters of accumulation. The wind will be northeast 20 kilometers late this afternoon. Temperature steady near minus 3. The wind chill, however, will feel like minus 11. Tonight, cloudy with a 40% chance of flurries. Wind north 30 kilometers, gusting to 50. A little bit of wind. Tonight, low of minus 10. Wind chill minus 11. This evening, minus 19 overnight. Friday, which is tomorrow, Mainly cloudy with a 30% chance of flurries early in the morning, clearing in the afternoon. The wind will be north, 30 kilometers, gusting to 50, becoming light in the afternoon. Temperature steady near minus 10. The wind chill will feel like minus 20. That's tomorrow. And then your longer range extended forecast, as we said, tomorrow, minus 10, 30% chance of flurries. And I don't know if you're looking at the screen, if you're watching the live stream, you can tell you got the two sunny icons for Saturday, Sunday. So are they just messing with us here like they did last weekend? Or is it actually going to be a beautiful sunny weekend? And look at the temperatures, minus 10, minus 7. So kind of mild. It'll be crisp and cool, but not freezing and sunny. So it's a great opportunity, if that is indeed going to be the weather, to get out and really enjoy whatever snow we got and whatever winter activities, as long as you stay off the ice. And we have a story on that coming up a little bit later. Monday, though, the chance of precipitation is back in the forecast, and 60% chance of flurries on Monday, high of +2. So very, very mild. High of +2 again. Tuesday with rain in the forecast, 60% chance. And then Wednesday, high of -4, 30% chance of precipitation. So again, mixed bag this time of year. It's very, very unpredictable, but mild temperatures with precipitation just means caution on the roads. And when you're out doing things, make sure you're prepared for the driving conditions and whatever you're doing to stay warm and dry and be prepared for almost anything. So there you go. Sudbury Weather brought to you by SudburyWeather.ca. We'll be back with a little bit of sports right after this. All right, Sudbury Sports brought to you by SudburySports.com. That's Randy Pascal's website where he covers everything Sudbury Sports. He is that Sudbury Sports guy, SudburySports.com. And the Wolves were in action last night. They played the North Bay Battalion, their Highway 17 rivals. What a game. Back and forth. Ended up, it was a goal. It was just like a duo of goaltending, especially our goaltender in the last part of the game made some spectacular saves. The game ended up being 1-1, and overtime solved nothing, and then it went into a shootout, and the shootout didn't solve anything, and then we scored. It was Alex Ferran got the goal, and I thought for sure, we won the game. Awesome. And then North Bay came back and scored, then prolonging the extended shootout. And unfortunately, North Bay ended up on the winning end of that, and they won 2-1 the game shootout. But Sudbury gets a point out of it. But what a game. Now, I know Billy, as usual, was there doing the sound for the Sudbury Arena. What were your thoughts on the game, Billy? And I know you're not the hugest hockey, fan, not even just fan, but, you've said your knowledge of the game wasn't,
it had me engaged.
It did, right? Yeah. Like it was like one of those games.
It was edgy seat, like I said, 1-1 for almost the whole game. And it was back and forth. And just a lot of heart-stopping moments. And it's like, and everyone, oh my God, I can't believe it. That was kind of like the common phrase in the booth, like just.
I know.
Like, they can't believe that didn't go in. They can't believe that.
I know.
That was stopped. They can't believe. It's just like a lot of disbelief in that room.
A lot of huge like near misses, like just a couple millimeters away from the top corners and stuff like that. But then on top of that, a huge spectacular saves on both ends of the ice. But I know late in the game, Sudbury's goalie really stood on his head and made some really good saves there.
Amazing, yeah. I think that's his first home game, right?
Yep. First home
incredible
game. So he looks like he's the number one. They got him from the Quebec Junior League there. He's an overager, and looks like they're going to be using him for the number one goalie for the rest of the season anyways. And what a great addition do they have then, Joe Ranger supplementing and coming in for him. I mean, Joe Ranger did a really great job in the first part of the season too. So I guess the tandem of the two goalies together should prove really good for the Sudbury Wolves. I think they're making a push for the playoffs myself. I know Rob Papineau, the GM of the Sudbury Wolves, has been making some really good deals, doing what he can with what he's got, and I think they're going to make a playoff run. So Julia is saying good morning all. Good morning, Julia. Thanks for being with us. And make sure to stay tuned and keep with the show because there's going to be lots of great stuff to talk about today. Not sure what our deep dive is going to be. Yeah, we're going to see where the conversation takes us. Yesterday, I wasn't. The deep dive didn't go where I thought it was going to go. We went to a totally different direction. So this is your show, and this is entirely kind of driven by the issues and events locally and provincially and nationally that that we all care about. So that's where the conversation can go sometimes. So stay tuned for the conversation started by the headlines of the day. We'll be back right after this. Okay, lots of headlines to talk about today. Sometimes I'm worried, like the night before, I'm like, wow, there's not really much news going on here. Not sure what we're going to do. But if we go through the headlines, we'll just ramble through the headlines real quick. Pierre Poilievre visits visits Timmins and discusses what our deep dive yesterday was, even though it wasn't planned, on Canada's proposed amendments to our gun laws. So he makes a statement about that, which is really neat. We'll check in on what he had to say about that. Cambrian deeply shocked and saddened by students' murder. This is a story that kind of got through somehow. It's kind of slipped through the cracks with us, and I'm not really sure how that happened. It was just before holidays, and I'm sure maybe that's why. So sad with all of the murders going on in Sudbury at the end of the year. This was one that was included, so we'll dive a little bit deeper into that. Greater Sudbury could be getting a new integrity commissioner. I'm sure a lot of people will have something to weigh in on that. And this is what I thought might be our deep dive today, but it may not be. The the United States Consumer Product Safety Commission the United States Safety Commission is considering a ban on gas stoves, saying they cause health and respiratory problems. And here's what we know so far about the research behind the consideration. So a little bit of a story into that. And anyways, so hopefully you have time to do that as a deep dive. Talking about mild temperatures and maybe to stay away from the ice. Another moose was rescued after falling through the ice in Northern Ontario. It's always a feel-good thing when you have, people rescuing moose. I guess you can't say mooses, right, Billy? Doesn't make sense.
I think it's meese.
It's meese?
No.
Yeah. It's not moes? Rescuing moes?
Yeah. I don't know. It must be mooses, but what if you have
oh no, I don't think it is.
A few types of mooses? I don't know.
I think moose is just automatically singular and plural. That's what my guess is going to be. I'm just going to go that route, and hopefully that's what it is. So another moose was rescued in Northern Ontario. This started the day's headlines. Might as well start with it. There was a fire downtown in the what is now the Elm Place, formerly known as the Rainbow Center, formerly known as the City Center. They keep changing the name on us. It's trying to keep us on.
Yeah, I didn't realize.
Yeah, it's Elm Place Mall. I don't know how, if they don't do a bunch of advertising, how that's really going to catch on too much. But I guess
once you have a fire there, it kind of gets the word out.
Yeah, there you go. exactly. And Gilles is saying, good morning, guys. Good morning, Gilles. Glad to have you on here. Hope you're doing well. So yeah, let's begin with that. The CTV, I don't know if I got to it here though. I hope I did. I don't think I did. So while we get this up and running, CTV did a story on it. Now it might come up with some sound here, which I apologize for, but we'll try not to have that come onto the show. Let's see. Yeah, it's going to have some sound, so we'll get rid of that. And anyways, so CTV did a little story on it, gives a little bit of the background. But the funny comment of the day goes to Andrew, I believe, who commented on this story. And when they said fire in the Elm Place Mall, formerly known as the Rainbow Center Mall, he said, "Oh, is this where the arena is planned to be?"
I saw that.
Yeah, thinking that they're trying to burn it down that way they can build the arena there. But anyways, I thought that was kind of funny. But yeah, we got the story all loaded up here. Let's get to this. Check out what happened at the newly named Elm Place Mall. I'm not sure how newly named it was. It's probably been that for a bit. But anyways, we'll check in. We'll be right back after this.
Good afternoon and thanks for being with us today. Fire crews in Sudbury were busy this morning after receiving a call for reports of smoke at a mall in the downtown core. Now it happened around 7:30 this morning at Elm Place, formerly known as the Rainbow Center, and it closed Elm Street. Deputy Fire Chief Jesse O'Shell says when crews arrived, they found one of the businesses consumed with smoke and an active fire inside.
There is a day spa inside of the mall, and it was experiencing an electrical fire, and so we had dispatched 5 crews to this location given the size of the mall, the potential that exists within, and it did take over an hour to get the fire under control and start to get the smoke evacuated from the building.
Sudbury Hydro had to disconnect the power from the building but has since been restored. The mall, however, will remain closed until further notice. And O'Shell says the Radisson Hotel, which is attached to the mall, was also evacuated at the time of the incident.
So there you go. That's the scoop from CTV on the fire at the mall. And yeah, do you think there's anything into that, Billy, that it's done on purpose to put the arena there at some point?
I'd be pretty skeptical of that. Yeah, I'm sure that's done, in the world, but in this particular case, I don't think so.
I don't think so either. Yeah, I think you're right on that. So, yeah, so another moose fell through the ice in Northern Ontario. Let's just, there's a few pictures here I might want to share. They kind of went by the play-by-play of this. It was a group of people, group effort by the Superior East Detachment of the Ontario Provincial Police, Ministry of Natural Resources and Forestry, and local residents to save the moose, police said on social media. But they said, they didn't say a moose. I just put moose in there. They said local residents to save the large animal. I mean, why couldn't they just say moose? But anyways, okay. So a couple photos here. Maybe we want to get, no, we'll just do this and then we'll go see. So some photos. I don't know if everyone can see those. They're pretty small. I'll have to enlarge them. So there's everybody just rescuing the poor guy coming out of the ice. And then he's, or whatever the moose's gender is, I don't know, but the moose is a moose. He's got the cords over his antlers, and he seemed to be just standing there after he didn't run away or anything, which I thought was kind of incredible. He's rescued, and he's probably saying, "Thank you, guys.
I guess.
Thanks for rescuing me."
We need a resident moose whisperer to figure out what he was thinking.
Exactly. I think that was up near Wawa, anyways. So, pretty incredible stuff. Always good to hear things like that going on in and around the area. And I know that is, there's a lot of moose around here. I know a lot of people. Have you ever had an encounter with a moose?
No, not really. Yeah, I think I've seen him in the bush a couple times.
Yep. Well, just here beside the place where we live in the swamp, so where we get the mail, I was just driving after getting the mail, and a moose just comes right in front of the car and crosses the road and goes into the swamp, coming right towards where we live here. So this was just, I think, near the end of summer this year.
I'm always surprised at how big they are when I do see them, though.
Huge. Yeah. Huge. It's like a big horse. Anyways, so I'm glad that the moose came out far enough away from the front of the car where I did not hit the moose. Didn't want to do that, obviously, for my own reasons and to not do damage to the moose. So I'm not sure how this story eluded us for so long. But anyways, Cambrian student, an international student, was murdered on Notre Dame Avenue December 23rd, and that's probably why, because right before, I think that was our last show, or last show was the day before, something like that. Anyways, before we took a bit of a hiatus, Cambrian College released a statement on the death of the 20-year-old Mihir Patel. He's an international student, as was said, and it was a violent incident on Notre Dame just before Christmas. Sudbury.com confirmed with the courts that Patel was the victim of the murder. A spokesperson for Cambrian said Patel, who came from India, was a second-year student at the college's environmental technician program. The college sent the following emailed statement regarding his death. We are deeply shocked and saddened by the death of Mihir Patel. Cambrian's statement reads, he was a strong student, well liked by his peers and faculty. When we learned of his tragic death, we shared our deepest condolences with the family and friends. We lowered our flags on campus. We provided grief counseling sessions to his fellow students and offered to move his roommates into residence. So I know his family also weighed in on their thoughts, and they have a GoFundMe to support his family, and it's up to $40,000 to date on the GoFundMe. And it says on the GoFundMe, at the age of 19, Mihir came to Sudbury, Canada in 2021 as an international student, Cambrian College. He was smart, funny, talented, but aside from his individual gifts, he cared and gave of himself to others. So very sad. I know it's a black eye in some ways to our community, because I know we have very many international students here, and it kind of brings to light a lot of the struggles that they have. There's also, this is about as bad as you get, but there's also many other struggles in terms of the accommodations that they're living in and things, and many of them are trying to group together to afford to pay for a place to live. They are only allowed to work so many hours as international students, so they can only make so much money. They're already being charged exorbitant amounts of money to go to school here because they're not residents, right? Did anybody ever tell you the difference between an international student's tuition and Canadian citizens at all? Are you aware of that at all, Billy?
I think, if I recall correctly, it's certainly more than double. Is it like triple, quadruple?
Oh, it's quadruple, yeah. It's lots. I think I was in around for a semester, was it $2,600 or something like that?
All right, yeah, it's easier, upwards of like 10,000, yeah.
10,000 for the international students. So anyways, and I know, when they're, I was talking to a good friend of mine who's in my class, who's an international student, and, when he's like, how much I have to pay, right? I'm like, yeah, I know. And bit of a kind of a funny situation with him. He came up to me one time because he got his first job. He was working at Pizza Hut. Really good. He became a really good friend. Still is. And he comes running up to me. AJ, you got to look at this. And it was his pay stub. And I said, why? What's wrong? He goes, well, there's something wrong with this. I said, what? He goes, I'm not being paid what they told me I was going to be paid. I said, well, okay, well, let's look at this. He goes, what's all these things they're taking away from my paycheck? I said, well, those are taxes. He said, what the heck? He goes, I'm barely making anything at the end of the day. I said, well, welcome to Canada. So yeah, all the taxes coming off of his paycheck. It was just funny to see that for the first time, you know, from somebody, just kind of eye-opening. I thought I was making this, but I'm not. So high tuition. He goes to work. He can only work so many hours. They're taking like 1/3 of his check away from him in taxes. And, you know, and then you add winter onto it too, right? So he's from an area in India where they don't get snow. And, you know, I would give him rides to class and things like that. We in the winter, just I'd say, what do you think of winter?
Yeah. Add that culture shock and being away from your family. And
I know.
Man, that's a rough, they're tough people.
Yeah, Cliff says, thanks for contributing to our quote-unquote free healthcare. Exactly. Even though I don't think he would benefit from that, right? Because I guess he would have some type of health insurance, and I don't even know, and I apologize for not knowing how that would work. But Jerome chimes in here. He says, many moose on Highway 144 north of Cartier. A few nights ago, 9 spotted licking the roadside salt. Heads up out there. Oh, for sure. Yeah, the moose situation. Yeah, they do like the salt for sure. And I guess that draws them to the road, which is, I guess, dangerous for motorists. Definitely. Okay, yeah, sad. And again, our condolences to Mihir Patel, his family and friends, and just the whole situation is sad. And I know the one who committed the murder, things are going ahead there. And you know, there's the court case is going to be coming up, and hopefully everything that happened there, they'll be prosecuted according to what was done. That's just terrible. I mean, yeah. Pierre Poilievre was in Timmins, Billy.
Yeah, I was kind of surprised to see that.
Did you have a chance to go up and see him?
I didn't get up there. I just found out about it now.
Okay, well...
What did he say?
This is what he said. We'll just check in on him here. Here he is here. So this is CTV's coverage in Timmins on Pierre Poilievre, and I'm not sure... That's a very large screen, so we'll try and figure out how we're going to... Oh, I know what might have happened here, Billy. I do know.
If you take your 2 fingers and bring them closer on the little pad there, does that make it smaller?
Probably, but I'm going to do it the hard way, Billy, because that's what I do. I do things the hard way. All right, so sorry about that, everybody. Pierre Poilievre was in Timmins. We'll check in on him right now. We'll be right back after this.
How you doing, buddy? Good to see
Pierre Poilievre waves to a supporter in Timmins.
you. Appreciate it.
Poilievre says it's important for him to visit Northern Ontario to find out how people feel about Prime Minister Trudeau's plan to amend the country's gun law. He's not in favor of it, and he thinks Northerners don't like it either.
The NDP Liberal Coalition is banning hunting rifles, which is an attack on the Northern Indigenous and rural way of life. I'll reverse the hunting rifle ban and instead bring in tougher criminal penalties for violent offenders who repeatedly do crime.
Poilievre sent out an open invitation to the general public to meet with him during a town hall meeting, saying the gun law isn't his only concern.
My plan is to make government affordable so life's affordable, get rid of the carbon tax to lower energy prices, and remove red tape so we can develop our resources, our mining, our forestry, that produce the income that fund our health care and our education.
When asked if he supports funding safe injection sites, Poilievre says he is in favor of providing more access to medication and treatment to help people recover from addictions to opioids. Lydia Chubak, CTV News, Timmins.
So there you go, Pierre Poilievre in Timmins on, I think that was yesterday, right?
Sounded like it.
So he's got a message there. Do you think that message resonates with people of Northern Ontario. I know we talked yesterday. I don't know if you were able to catch it at all with a Nick on. And we talked about Mark Sadeh, who is our local MP. He's been inundated with calls, emails, messages, people concerned with the amendments that are proposed for the I don't know, thousands and thousands of more guns to be banned.
Yeah, no, I think, especially up here, you're probably going to find, I would think the majority is on side of that side of the issue. People need their rifles out in the rural areas up here, so it would be kind of a little bit more of a security threat not having them.
We did talk about that. It was funny because a lot of people said, well, there's no real security. I said, it's not just, there's people and there's animals too when you go out into the wild, right? And you could be out in the middle of nowhere and you're just doing your thing and all of a sudden a pack of wolves comes and surrounds you and you're like, if you have a gun on you, not that you're going to shoot them, you just feel safer. So you could just point your gun into the air, shoot it off, and then all the wolves go. And now if you have a rabid wolf who doesn't care of the sound and starts lunging at you, you then feel even more secure knowing that you can take extra precautions for your safety, right? So
yeah. But I think, good luck having the police get to you in time if you do have an emergency where you do have a security threat with other humans, It's...
Yeah,
I think it's one of those things that people, it's kind of deep to the core that they like to have that, especially if they've had an incident in the past where they're, a little more traumatized by violence. Like they're not going to want to go without. So I think you're just going to see a bigger kind of black market in that. In that area.
Yeah, we also established the fact that these gun laws do nothing to solve the crime issues because people that are committing the crimes by and large are getting those firearms through other ways other than going and registering these guns legally and going through the proper channels, right? So there's no correlation between the violent crimes and going after law-abiding gun owners and taking away their guns. Now, you can make other arguments saying, do they need a semi-automatic or whatever? But there's so many laws. You can only have 5 bullets in your whatever. You can only just lodge 5 bullets at a time from your gun in your magazine, right? I think it's 5. Could be 10. Sure. But anyways, that's how much I know. But it's a hard conversation to have in Sudbury. This whole idea of personal protection from a human being with a gun. In the States, no problem. They're like, oh yeah, no, I have a gun in my house. That's why there's a perpetrator. And a lot of times nothing has to happen. Just the gun has to be pointed at somebody and that sends a message and they run away. So actually it can arguably decrease the violence. Whereas that perpetrator might have proceeded to violently, do something to the homeowner that stopped violence from happening by that person saying, I have this and I will use it if you continue to try to do something. And then it prevents it. So it's a preventative thing as well. So, but that's a hard conversation. I don't know why to have in this community, in this area, maybe even in this country. I don't know why. I don't know why that idea of things is hard to penetrate in terms of an idea.
Yeah. Well, when you listen to the media, they always automatically make a direct correlation. It seems that gun violence, gun laws will reduce this gun violence. You just saw a crime. I don't know if there would have been a gun law, but I think, like you said, there's a lot of arguments that, that is not the case. It's, depending on the situation too. Like, you think about these towns where there's, if you just want to use an extreme example, like if you lived in a, I'm gonna edit myself there.
Okay, that's fine.
Yeah, but a big cartel town, where there's a lot of violence. The people without the guns.
Like Chicago?
Well, that's right. All the gun-free zones. Yeah. So called.
Well, that's what I was going to make the point of. Mm-hmm. A lot of the the cities with the most violent crime are the ones with the strictest gun laws, and that is a fact. And so how do you correlate those dots? How do you connect those dots? Like, so the ones that they've done the most to prevent the gun violence and have the most laws against it have the highest crime rates, violent gun crime rates. So as Aaron Babin says, if someone uses a gun for something illegal, they get the guns illegally. Right?
Yeah.
Because forensics and whatever, if you register a gun, I watch a show called Forensic Files. I love it. I've seen all of them. And a lot of times they can tell what gun it comes from by analyzing the bullet, and every bullet, it's like a fingerprint. And so if you register a gun and then you commit a violent crime and they're able to look at the bullet, they know they can trace it back to your gun. Whereas illegally, and you shoot someone, the bullets, they can't trace it to anybody. They know what kind of gun it is. If they find the gun, they can match it. But right? It's a lot harder if it's an illegally obtained firearm. Cliff says they should just get over it with and make murder illegal. Oh yeah, they should just get over it. Get over with it and make murder illegal. Yes. I thought it was, right? That's the whole thing. I thought if you committed a crime, you're punished for it. So you'd have to take away everything that you would be able to commit a crime with. Like that's the philosophy of this. That's where this whole thing gets weird. Is you'd have to take away everything, like anything you can pick up and throw at someone. You'd have to ban that, because you could do harm to someone else with it. Well, the thing is, if you did harm to someone with that, there's laws against that, right? Things are illegal.
And I think Pierre had another interesting point where he said, he would focus on these repeat offenders of crime. Yeah. And is that a trend right now where we're seeing more repeat offenders kind of released back into the community?
Yeah,
there's a tolerance that's getting greater and greater for having, not really dealing with the source of these crimes.
Yeah, because it's considered, and I know there's advocacy groups and there's a lot of marginalized people out there, and so they're grouping criminals into people that are discriminated against. So criminals are discriminated against, so they need a softer, gentler kind of, way that you treat them. So it's kind of racist to prosecute somebody because criminals are, vulnerable. So it's a weird kind of thought process, because but a crime's a crime, a law's a law, and you should prosecute. But we did a little story on before, and it's here. We have, the Supreme Court of Canada is the most activist Supreme Court we've ever had, and they're doing things like they're interpreting the whatchamacallit in Canada, not the Bill of Rights, but what our thing is. My goodness. Sometimes Billy and I both have the same problem with Charter of Rights. Thank you, Billy, man. You're the guy. Yes. Wow. Charter of Rights and Freedom. So anyways, they interpret this, but they're going really like out there to try and they're setting precedents. And a lot of this is coming from the top down. And you're like you said, they're being very lenient on people that are doing really violent things and hard criminal offenses. They're getting treated a lot more lenient now. And that's another thing Pierre Poilievre said. Did you hear that in his comments? That he'll be going after, instead of banning guns, he'll just make sure that prosecution and there's a tougher stance on people breaking laws. So that's what he's saying that he will do. Which is, again, he's saying the script of what conservatives have always said. They've always been tough on crime. They're the ones that got rid of the gun registry when they came in after the Liberals. kind of thing. They've always been pro legal firearms. They're always there to balance the budget. So that anything they say is going to be like, let's watch how we spend, so that way we don't get into problems with spending. So Pierre Poilievre didn't say anything earth-shattering there. He's just saying what conservatives pretty much have always been saying. Judiciary's farm crime, like your medical system farms your condition. Am I reading that correctly? Judiciary?
Farm crime, like your medical systems, farms your condition. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Yeah, I think
You know what
I
that
get
means?
the
gist?
point that he's making. And it's a way of like, I don't want to say generating a reason for their existence, right? If you,
okay.
if you eliminate crime, then the people go, what do we need you for then? So
That's
I
pretty
think
sad.
I think there's an effect to that, whether it's like slightly psychological, or if it's downright intentional in a lot of cases. It's almost like the old kind of adage of, the boy putting tacks on the road in front of the garage, so they have people, get a flat tire and have to come in and.
Yeah.
But
Yeah,
I think that's one of society's things to kind of work through, and but I think it's really good to be aware of that. You know what? I think in some places they call that problem, reaction, solution.
Yeah.
And I think in the halls of academia, they'll call it, what's that Noam Chomsky line there? Manufacturing consent. It's like, we need to bring in this. How do we get this? Well, if there was a lot of, and this was one of the claims that was critical about the CIA back in the 80s and stuff, that they were actually bringing in guns, the theories that doing guns in inner cities, particularly, to generate these problems, which would have the people demand these over-the-top solutions.
Oh yeah, for sure. Again, right? And you think if you own a virus software company, what would make you a lot of money? Kind of thing. If a lot of people think that that's beyond what a company would do, but you would make a virus. You would actually make the viruses that your company gets rid of. And that's how you know how to get rid of them. You made them. So, hey, you have a virus on your computer, you get this virus software, same idea, right? Yeah. Like you make the solution because you made the problem in the first place. So you make a reason for yourself.
Yeah.
And also Cliff is saying he actually had a Facebook memory pop up today about how the government was letting criminals out of jail due to COVID. But if you're caught hanging out at the fence chatting with your neighbor, you could face jail time. Which was true at the time, right? It was so hypocritical. They were arresting people for not wearing masks. They were arresting people for, just talking. In Australia, we got so crazy in the world for a while there. They made smiling illegal. Basically said, or I don't know about illegal.
Discouraged it, yeah.
Discouraged. Like they couldn't make it legal. So they had all these things in place. Like they weren't laws. They just had, because laws take a while to go through a process in order to make, right? But they had these mandates that basically kiboshed any law. And that's what we found ourselves in here too. Because is there a law that says you have to wear a mask somewhere? There's no law there because we never had this before. So they would make a mandate and then they would arrest you because you didn't follow the mandate. And then that just makes for a legal, bizarre quagmire of crap when you go and try and fight it afterwards. And I'm sure our legal kind of system is all jammed up with all of these things post-pandemic or whatever, if there is such a post-pandemic thing. But anyways, illegal, meaning mandated not to smile. Don't smile because that encourages talking. But meanwhile, they're letting people out of jail because they could get COVID. But then they were going to fill them right back up with other people that were smiling at people and talking to people, which is, you got to give your head a shake at some point and say, where does all this stuff come from, right? Let's see, comment here. To get my pal, I believe it is, you take a safety course and legally purchase your gun. Nothing new under the sun. I do not acquire a criminal nature. The broader question is the intention behind this disarmament. Yep. For sure. Like, you have to ask yourself why, right? So, because we know that there's no connection between banning guns and violent crimes with guns. Very little, if any. If you say, well, yeah, there's this story where this guy did whatever and he had a thing. Okay, but it's very little. It's so little that you might as well ban cars, because there's more people using a car to do damage to someone than with a firearm. So you'd then be able to make that case, which is absurd. So yeah, we go through all these safety courses, and you got to jump through hoops. And if you have a gun in your house, you got to have the bullets on one side of your house all locked up and your gun on another side of the house. You can only have 5 bullets at a time, and you can't transport it unless you have a police escort with you wherever you go with your gun. And now I'm joking there. That's not true. I'm exaggerating, but there's all these things that you have to do, right? So there's no correlation. So that was our deep dive yesterday, and we had a bit of a deep dive into it today as well. So thanks, Billy, for being here for that. The last story of the day is this story that the U.S. might ban gas stoves, talking about intentions. Like, you got to give your head a shake and say, where is this stuff coming from? Like, why do you want to ban? So it's one thing, you can make an argument of banning guns, and a lot of Canadians don't like guns. So it's an easier pitch in Canada because of I don't know how it came to that. I remember coming back from the States and telling people I thought everyone should have a gun. And I thought people's heads were going to explode off their shoulders when I said that. And just the reactions, I thought, why am I getting these reactions? I thought if everyone had a gun, then everyone has a safe playing field. Everyone's equal. Everyone's equal. No one's going to try and assert power over another. But I said that statement, and it was like, what did I just say? It was almost like they're going to call 911 on me for saying that. And everyone was against it in the office. I was like the only one who had an opinion like that. But I could say that where I came from, and it would maybe be 60 for me and 40 that said, yeah, I don't know. I think, if you want them, you can have them, but I'd rather not have a gun or whatever. But here it's like, I don't know why Canadians, by and large, are so against it. But here it's easier to push that forward to ban them, right? Because we're ready for that in a way. There's a lot of people who are for it. They're like, yeah, let's ban them all. Like, no one needs one at all. So it's like, yeah, I don't know where those thoughts that must come over time, over a lot of media and things over time. I don't know. Sure. What do you think?
Well, I think what exacerbates that too is, look at the level of, I don't want to say, could I say maturity, like over the ages? Like, look at those videos back from like the 50s and 60s where there's high school classes with guns training and stuff, and they're all going out and, they all have guns and they're shooting. And I don't know, you think about, people were pretty in full-on adult mode by their early 20s, I think, during those eras. And I think we've come into an era where we see sort of kids raising kids. I can kind of speak to this because I know I'm a pretty big kid myself.
You are a big kid, Billy. I can verify that for sure.
And it's like,
definitely are,
yes. I don't know when I'm going to be an adult. But I mean, this, there's probably a lack of maturity that's a reality too in our society. Yeah. Where you just get some, it could get pretty wild out there.
So this has been marketed to us possibly by maybe government ads and things like that over the years, is that why there's as a culture, we're more against that idea? I have no idea. Right?
Oh, I think you can add that to it for sure.
So I remember watching a video. It was a public service announcement saying, to conserve your water, turn off your taps, all this stuff. You're going to run out of water if you don't. And I was living in Sault Ste. Marie at the time. And if you know Sault Ste. Marie at all, St. Mary's River is there. And it basically connects all the Great Lakes together, the largest body of fresh natural water in the world. And I was thinking, why do they want me to turn off my taps all the time to conserve water? And it snows and rains. It snows in the winter every second day. It rains every third or fourth day in the summer. There's lakes everywhere. I'm conserving water for what? Like what? Why am I conserving water? Water's everywhere. You can even make water in your house by condensation, for crying out loud. So where does that come from? Whatever. So here you go. So this is the idea, and a couple comments here. One from Cliff says RPAL holders are checked by the RCMP every 24 hours. Wow, that's a lot of checking going on. And Jerome says, no worries, Canadians have lots of guns, which I do agree with too, because, there's a lot of us out there. But again, it's like a very polarizing thing. A lot of Canadians are either totally for it or totally against it. It's kind of weird. So let's check in on this story from CTV about the idea of getting rid of gas stoves. So not only guns, but I wonder what's behind the gas stove thing. But we'll be back right after this.
Many Canadians use gas stoves for cooking, but a federal agency in the United States is raising concerns about how safe they are, calling them a hidden hazard.
The U.S. Consumer Product Safety Commission is even considering a ban on gas stoves, saying they cause health and respiratory problems. Our Pat Foran is here with Consumer Alert. Pat.
Thanks, Michelle and Nathan. This story will be bad news for anyone who enjoys cooking with gas, but there has been growing concern that gas stoves emit pollutants that are unsafe and may even lead to asthma in children. Many chefs enjoy the benefits of cooking with gas, the instant heat, the ease of temperature control, and burners great for searing or simmering. But what you can't see might actually harm you. Consumer Reports conducted tests on gas ranges and found levels of nitrogen oxides at more than double the standard for outdoor air.
Nitrogen oxides are pollutants more typically associated with outdoor sources like power plants and cars and trucks. But new studies suggest that gas ranges can actually produce these emissions inside your home.
Studies have shown that natural gas stoves emit pollutants such as nitrogen dioxide, carbon monoxide, and fine particulate matter. The gases can worsen asthma and other lung diseases, and one study found that more than 12% of current childhood asthma cases in the U.S. can be attributed to gas stove use. The U.S. Consumer Product Safety Commission called gas stoves a hidden hazard and said a ban is an option that's on the table.
Hearing the word ban was very alarming. We are certainly not at that stage yet.
A group that represents Canadian and American appliance manufacturers is trying to reassure owners of gas ranges that they're not harmful.
Your product is safe. Gas ranges are designed safe. They meet or exceed all of the existing safety standards.
A Canadian researcher said it's unclear exactly what the risks are, but says pollutants can linger in a home for hours after a gas stove has been shut off.
You are introducing pollutants into your house. And if you can avoid that, why not?
Manufacturers and researchers agree that if you use a gas range, create as much ventilation as possible. A range hood should be used while you're cooking, and if you don't have one, open a window or use a fan to help the gases dissipate. And if you're shopping for a new stove, you may also want to consider an electric or induction model. Both have improved greatly. And the Canadian Gas Association also told CTV News today the use of a range hood can help reduce airborne emissions by 80%, and that other studies have shown cooking with natural gas is safe. On your side, I'm Pat Foran.
There you go. So gas stoves are on the list of dangerous. I love some of the comments here. Bunk beds also are a cause of asthma. And Gordon Ramsay uses nothing but gas, and he's the picture of poor health. So anyways, it's Yeah, I don't even know what to say here. If they're going after gas stoves now, and what else is the alternative, Billy? That comes to your mind if you're thinking you're not going to have a gas stove? What other kind of stove are you going to have?
Well, they mentioned induction.
Oh,
they mentioned a couple of things. What was the electric? Obviously electric.
Yeah. So electric would be what most people then would go to. And now, as we're getting rid of the actual energy grids that we have that actually supply energy, and we're going to be going all electric cars. We're going to have to be plugging in all of our cars, and then all the stoves are electric. And what does that even mean? Like, we're not going to be able to power all the cars and power if you don't have a gas stove anymore. Like everything other, so it's all electric or nothing, right? And how are we going to be able to, the grid's not going to be able to handle it from renewable energies. It just does not have the power to do that. So anyways, I hope they don't ban gas stoves, and they cook so nicely. If you have a gas stove and you cook, gas stoves are the bomb for sure. So anyways, that's all the time we have, Billy.
Oh, yes.
So you get the last word today. Gas stoves should be banned or not?
Well, I'm going to say no.
Oh, good.
Yeah. These stories, I think they came out ahead of schedule. I think this was planned to come out a couple of years up from now. That came out too early.
Yeah.
Thanks for the heads up.
Well, I think they climatize us, no pun intended, to what's coming up in the future type of thing. So I guess we'll just have to take it as it comes and do the best we can with what we got and try and navigate through this very confusing world. Why are people trying to ban these things, or the questions we put forward, right? What are all the hidden hazards if you, let's see, what about all the hidden hazards in your cabinet full of cleaning solutions? For sure. I thought of that too. The real cause of childhood asthma. Yeah, they don't say anything about that. Right.
That's the thing. Yeah. I think the lesson people are getting is not to trust either of these sides. It's like, well, I got to look into it myself. Yeah. Is there something? Because there's stuff we live with all the time that's very harmful. They don't tell us about, and then there's stuff that's not harmful that they tell us is harmful.
Crazy. So Cliff got the last word for comments. He says your gas furnace is next. All right. Well, thanks everyone for joining us today on Sudbury News Talk on Sudbury News at Sudbury News on Facebook, YouTube, all things social media. You can catch our website, Sudbury.news. We're here on CKLU 96.7 on air and online each and every morning between 7:30 and 8:30. Stay tuned now for Earshot Daily. And thank you so much, everyone, for all your comments today and every day. And thank you for liking, sharing, subscribing, and all that stuff. It helps our show get out there to more people. And thanks, Billy, for everything you do for the show.
Thank you, Aaron.
Thank you. We'll be back same time, same place tomorrow. Stay tuned now for Earshot Daily on CKLU 96.7 FM.
This is Sudbury News Talk on the morning shift.